like to call to order the November 17, 2015 meeting of the Sayreville Board of Education. Can everybody please stand and join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Board Secretary, has this meeting been advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act?
Yes, it has, Mr. Mayor.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Balkas.
Here.
Mrs. Backo.
Here.
Mrs. Bloom.
Here.
Mr. Brzezinski.
Here.
Mr. Sayak.
Here.
Mrs. DePinto.
Here.
Mrs. Strapp.
Here.
Mr. Walsh.
Here.
And Mr. Mack.
I am present. Need a motion to go into close.
So moved.
Second. Okay, I need a motion second, and can you please read the resolution?
Whereas Section 80 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, permits the exclusion of public from the meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education, Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of any action upon the hereinafter specified subject matter. General nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Personnel, including but not limited to agenda items. One item under that, suspension of SEA member. Student discipline, appeal from a high school student parent. Attorney-client privilege, various legal issues associated with the Sayreville War Memorial High School football program, and in negotiations, arbitration hearing of an SEA member. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Mr. Balkin.
Yes.
Mrs. Backo.
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom.
Yes.
Mr. Brzezinski.
Yes.
Mr. Sayak.
Yes.
Mrs. DePinto.
Yes.
Mrs. Strapp.
Yes.
Mr. Walsh.
Yes.
Mr. McEnroe.
Yes. The board will go into executive, reconvene in public at 7:30. The November 17th, 2015 meeting of
personnel, including but not limited to agenda items, and the suspension of an SEA, a Sayreville Education Association member. Student discipline, an appeal from a high school student parent, attorney-client privilege, various legal issues associated with the Sayreville War Memorial High School football program, and under negotiations, arbitration hearing for a Sayreville Education Association member.
Thank you. Student Council representative is not here, so Dr. Labby, let's go right to presentations. What do we have?
Great, thank you, Ms. McEnroe. One of the most important parts of our Board of Education meetings, and by far my most favorite part of our Board of Education meetings, is when we get a chance to honor and recognize our amazing students here in the district. And tonight, we have a very, very special night. We have a chance to recognize and honor the accomplishments of two groups of students from Sayreville War Memorial High School. So I'd like to begin by first asking Mr. McEnroe to join me up here up front so that we can recognize a special group of students and an advisor of a program that some of you may have heard of. It's called Students Against Destructive Decisions. I said that correctly, right? And you may not know what they do, but their job is to get the message out to our students in this district and students statewide and nationally about the importance of making good decisions. Just recently, they had a SAD, or Students Against Destructive Decisions, convention in Sayreville. And they had a chance to present a very moving and touching video that they created that I was so incredibly impressed by and so proud of that we could not miss the opportunity to recognize their hard work, their dedication, their commitment to not only our students here, but to our community, and their dedication to a former student, Brandon Narleski, who died tragically last fall. And I have goosebumps talking about it right now. So, Mr. McEnone, it is our honor to recognize, first of all, Mrs. Genevieve Corrales. Can you please come on up here? Mrs. Corrales, on behalf of the Board of Education, the administration, faculty, and staff of the district, we would like to award you and your program this plaque in honor of all that you've done for our students and our community. And we'd also like you to join us in recognizing the more than a dozen students that you've invited to the board meeting, and I know their moms and dads are here with them as well, so that we can honor them individually too.
Agata Schroden.
Step here.
Lucas Pereira. Mansi Goyle. Suarez Seth. Rebecca Chekasi. Kelsey Verbixis. Michael Gray. Alyssa Bear. Nicholas Godwin. Our President, Hala Rayhan. Vice President, Van Miguel Legasson. Naja Bakar. And Nuda Spey. Sure. So these are your student leaders of Students Against Destructive Decisions, Sayreville War Memorial High School chapter. They have been the backbone in recognizing the dangers that their peers, we all face out on the roads against drunk driving. Everything that they do, they have the opportunity to choose what their topic is for this year. And in honor of Brandon, who was my former student and best friends with Lucas, they opted to make sure that the community is aware that every 51 minutes somebody is killed by a drunk driving related crash. They are the forefront of this organization of over 230 members. And they are my backbone, that without them, there would be no Corrales and there would be no SAD. So congratulations, guys, and thank you.
This is one of my favorite programs. My daughter was involved when she was here, and I saw the effect of it. And we were a couple of meetings ago, we recognized Ms. Corrales for a national award she won as an advisor. And it just goes to show that success breeds success, and leadership spawns leadership. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing with this program.
Thank you.
versus that program. We're going to take one picture of the kids, but we know that everything our kids do, they do with the support and the love of our parents. We're going to take one just to get what we love. Best part of the game.
Yes, it is.
All right. Very nice. You want to take one more? And parents, would you like to join your kids up front?
No. Not embarrass us.
Come on, come on.
It's going to come a day you're going to be like, I wish my mom and dad took a picture with me.
This is one of their last chances to embarrass their kids.
That's right.
They deserve it. Oh. That one's
All right, everybody say, aww. One more time.
These pictures coming in.
Excellent job. Thank you guys very much.
And we'll continue with the recognizing and honoring of our wonderful students here in Sayreville. You know, it was about this time last year that this school district, this school, this community needed to pick me up. And just about that time, all of a sudden we began to hear these amazing tunes. These amazing tunes that we have heard many, many years before, but they were just what we needed when we needed it most. And those tunes, of course, were coming from our incredible marching band and honor guard. And last year, they won the Meet of Champions championship, right? One of them. This year, we would like to honor and recognize them once again, because not only were they the Group 3 New Jersey champions, they were also the Group 3 Regional New York and New Jersey champions. Correct, Dr. Caruso? We couldn't be prouder of our amazing musicians and honor guard participants. So, Mr. Sayak, if you could join me up front. Dr. Caruso, if you could join me now. And I guess we'll bring in the band members as you want to bring them in now? Or do you want to call them in after? Why don't we honor you first and then we'll come bring them in? No honor is necessary. Come on up here, Dr. Caruso. Give Dr. Caruso a great big hand.
So we have a resolution from the board for Dr. Caruso and the band, and we also have certificates for all of the band members. We'll be bringing them in a minute. Dr. Caruso, the resolution reads, whereas the Sayreville Board of Education encourages extracurricular activities for our students, and whereas it has come to the board's attention that the Sayreville War Memorial High School Marching Band and Color Guard have been named the Group 3A Champions 2015 Tournament of Bands and Group 3A Regional Champions 2015 New York, New Jersey Metropolitan Regional Tournament of Bands for 2015-16, and whereas the board is extremely proud of these students for their dedication and perseverance to excel, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, hereby commends and honors the Sayreville War Memorial High School Marching Band and Color Guard for their outstanding accomplishments during their season. And be it further resolved that the board encourages all students of the Sayreville Public Schools to follow the example of these remarkable students who strive to be the best that they can be. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution executed by the board president, superintendent, and the board business administrator secretary on behalf of the Sayreville Board of Education be presented to the Sayreville War Memorial High School Marching Band and Color Guard at the regular meeting of the Board of Education this 17th day of November 2015. Congratulations to our state champions. So we've got a certificate for each one of you. I'm going to call you up in alphabetical order. I'll read the names, and Dr. Labby will present you with your certificate. Emily Campbell. And I'm going to ask that you please hold your applause until we recognize all 88. Robert Conklin. Eduardo Duran. Dan Magis. Okay. Joyce Campbell. Okay. This go quicker than we thought. Dr. Paul Caruso. Christina Loyley. Aisha Mahone. James Adams. Robert Adams. Akinola Akinokum. Emmanuel Akalizi. Giovanna Antoine. Michael Antoine. Danielle Antoine. Vanessa Ortega. Zachary Blend. Julia Block. Emanuela Botang. Nicholas Bonifacio. Paula Borkowitz. Thomas Brennan. I'll take those back. Gerard Brown Eckstein. Nevin Bunag. Samantha Buono. Sarah Buono. Tyler Cannon. Christopher Conley. Darren DJ Crocker. Alicia Darko. Michael DeLeon. Raymond Dykeman. Francis Egan. Angela Egan. Joshua Estrella. Sierra Farrell. Jessica Flaherty. Rachel Frajewski. Dakota Funk. Jordan Gallagher. Brody Gallagher. Alexander Gaspar. Olivia Gaspar. Ernesto Herrera. Hamadul Islam. Daniel Ivan. Zoe Iwaniak. Matthew Jacobson. Shashanth Jinka. Shelley Corin. Brianna Kovach. Bianca Kuzma. Jundi Laquata. Jaden Lewis. Teresa Lumpas. Francis Manuel. Armando Martinez. Christian Martinez. Caitlin Martino. Liam McGrath. Faith McGuire. Celine Mira. Cheyenne Mulrain. Karen Mulrain. Congratulations. Rohit Narla. Jay Noyes. Michael O'Leary. Simran Patel. Maneep Patel. Amisha Patel. Manal Patel. Bella Pereira. Alexander Perlaza. Rebecca Platt. Devin Platt. Jeremy Prasad. Melanie Quindus. Ryan Reel. Ayana Richardson. Musawir Rizvi. Robert Romero. Delvanti Roseberg. Chloe Santiago. Ariana Solis. Melissa Tai. Stephanie Takero. Joseph Uncle. Kevin Utarid. Abigail Vasquez. Jacob Vasquez. Christopher Vega. Ria Vijay Vargia. Jake Wilkinson. Danny Yu. Alexander Yu. Congratulations to our state championship band. Dr. Caruso, would you like to say a few words on behalf of your band?
Thank you so much, Mr. Sayak, Dr. Labby, and the Board of Ed. This is just to have a band of this size and this quality requires the cooperation of everyone in the school district. First of all, to the students for having amazing passion and desire to be excellent all year long. Thank you so much. The administrators and the Board of Ed members do so much all year long to coordinate the many things that we have to go through, the budgeting, the planning, the scheduling, working with the athletic department for fields and things like that. The township, who had given us a really nice ride into, police escort into town those 2 days, that was phenomenal. And having the mayor there for us was just tremendous. There have been so many things that have come together. The Band Parent Association here under Kim Kuzma, the work that they do is unbelievable. The hundreds of hours, and I can't speak highly enough of the hard work all year long. The uniform mommies, the pancake breakfast, it never ends, and they just keep working and keep moving us to a better place. And you know, we just strive to better things every year. So we're incredibly appreciative to all involved, and thanks so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Great job, guys.
We're going to do a photo with the band in front of the board. So just please watch the two chords and move in front of the board. We'll do a photo.
One row of people on one knee going a little bit higher, and then one row of people on one knee all at one shot.
And while the band is moving, the one thing I do want to highlight is we've never had a challenge in Sayreville with regard to the quality of the music or the quality of the show, but we have had a challenge. In terms of growing the band. And I'm very happy to see that we have a band not only of the talent and caliber that we have, but also of the large numbers that we have that's representative of our community.
That was from last year?
Yeah, so, did they not, maybe they didn't do it close ceiling.
Yeah, I don't know how this season works. I know there's a band in the drum.
One more meeting left for you? 3 more meetings? With 2 to 7. Okay. They don't want to pick? Yeah. They don't want to pick? Is that okay?
Right. I think that's it. What? I don't know if this is.
Yep, I have it all written out.
I agree with you. Last thing, not to put that in. I don't want to leave that. I saw your email.
Otherwise, I would.
Just gonna have the parents come. It's the fun stuff.
She's in that concert band.
Sample families tonight, they sure did. And
Starts down here. So many of them.
right this way.
Thank these guys. We didn't have a curriculum meeting. John gave you the short.
I have it.
We had a meeting since last week.
Yeah, I have that.
Here you go.
We're
Hey,
canceling next week.
Beth,
We're gonna have it.
just read the circle parts. John got it for you. Main point. Main point. This isn't
Can't go home to Elmer.
yeah, we already did that.
He did the band and the sad, so yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we did the band and
I don't want to
sad.
go now.
Less is more. Less is more.
I will go really quick.
Less is
I will go really quick. Her job.
Everybody's got to be proud. Oh, yeah.
And then you would have
That's why you're
The usual suspects.
All right, there's nobody.
Thank you.
I figured it out.
It's so weird.
I think she works in the bank.
Actually,
The one with the white and black purse behind her back, the big bag.
oh, I don't know.
She works in PNC Bank.
All right, there's nobody. There's nobody.
All right. Moving right along.
I noticed that.
Maybe he's
jealous? I don't want anybody else seeing my guns.
God, you're bad.
Colors.
You know, we're gonna be down at female next year on the sport. We're replacing the female.
We're down to what?
Stick together.
Wow, we're down to nothing.
Where'd everybody go?
I think we're gonna have 5 or 6.
Something you said?
Big job.
Okay,
Just picked him.
now that the fun stuff is over, we have to do the boring things.
Wow.
Okay, continuing with the agenda, everybody should have seen the correspondence on the portal for the monthly technology work order reports, monthly maintenance work order reports. Anybody have any questions? If not, I'm looking for approval of the minutes. Everybody should have received the minutes of the regular and executive session that was posted for the October 20th, 2015 minutes. If nobody has any questions, comments, deletions, or additions, I'll accept the motion to file the superintendent's minutes.
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
Mrs. Bloom? Mr. Bowker?
Yes.
Mrs. Bacco?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes.
Mr. Brzezinski?
Yes.
Mr. Syak?
Yes.
Mrs. DePinto?
Yes.
Mrs. Trapp?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. McEnroe?
Yes. When will those be posted? You know, always get that email. When will they be posted now that they're approved?
They,
A day or two?
Mrs. Hospital sends them out immediately, so it takes
Okay.
about a day or so to get posted.
Okay. District highlights. Mr. Pinto.
Congratulations to the SWMHS Marching Band and Color Guard for winning the Tournament of Bands 2015 New Jersey Group 3A State Championship on October 24th. One championship title was not enough. On October 25th, 2015, the SWMHS Marching Band and Color Guard won the Tournament of Bands 2015 New York, New Jersey Metropolitan Group 3A Regional Championship. To top this off, the Color Guard won Best Color Guard for the 5th year in a row. We are so proud of these students and advisors for all their hard work and dedication, which has definitely paid off. We would like to give a special recognition to the SWMHS SAD chapter, Students Against Destructive Decisions, who were chosen to speak at the SAD Regional Conference on Tuesday, October 27th, on drunk driving. Each year, each chapter in the nation must decide what issue they feel needs to be addressed most in their respective towns, and this year, the SWMHS chapter decided to focus on drunk driving due to the death of one of our students in November of 2014. The SAD members, along with their advisor, Ms. Genevieve Corrales, continue to work with and for our students in learning to make right choices. Kudos to Ms. Corrales and the SAD members for their dedication to this important endeavor. A great big thank you to the Sayreville Fire Department for taking the time to visit all of our elementary schools during Fire Prevention Week from October 5th through October 9th. Each year during this week, they go to each elementary school with one of the fire trucks and instruct the young students on fire hazards and fire safeties. Samsel Families Unite. They sure did. On October 27th, parents, students, and staff gathered in the evening to learn a little more about how to make this school year successful, with the theme of You Don't Have to Be a Superhero to Be a Super Parent. Parents rotated through sessions titled The Homework Battle, Morning Rush, New Jersey Day Trips, Mission Nutrition, and Do You Wonder About How to Talk to Your Child About Bullying and Peer Connections. School-age children participated in adventure-based counseling games. Thank you to all that made that night a success. That concludes the district highlights.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Dr. Labby, please take us through your report.
Testing. Thank you, Mr. McEnroe. Board of Education members, can I direct your attention to Vision 2030 Finance and Infrastructure? Beginning with numbers 13, 14, and number 36, which can be found on the addendum. 13 and 14 can be found on pages 3 and 4. We're asking you to declare obsolete a floor cleaning machine, as well as a number of TVs, VCRs, and DVDs, as well as overhead projectors. Again, those can all be found on 13, 14, and on the addendum, pages 3 and 4 in the addendum. Number 15, we're asking you to approve the sale of a lawnmower of 2 lawnmowers to the highest bidders. That was New Jersey One Auto Sales. You can find that on page 4. Number 16, we're asking you to approve the 2015-16 Comprehensive Maintenance Plan. That can be found also on page 4. Number 17, we're asking you to approve a contract with Phoenix Advisors to serve as our financial advisors on refunding opportunities. That can be found on page 4. Number 18, and similarly, we're asking you to approve McManamum, Scotland, and Bauman LLC from Roseland, New Jersey, to provide specialized legal services necessary in connection with the capital program and the authorization and issuance of obligations or bonds for the board, and that can be found on page 5. Number 19, also found on page 5, we're asking you to approve a tuition contract with South Amboy and the Sayreville Board of Education for a student from South Amboy to attend the Sayreville Middle School Behavioral Disabilities Program. If you're keeping count, we have currently 3 students now from South Amboy who are actually 4 students, I should say, that are in the district on a tuition basis. And we truly appreciate the collaborative relationship we have with the South Amboy School District. That can be found on page 5. Number 20, we're asking you to approve the tuition contract with the Trenton Board of Education for a student to attend the Somerset County Educational Services Commission. As we discussed in our previous meetings, this is one of those students that we are providing educational services due to the Educational Stability Act. This is a child that is in foster care. The foster care home is in Sayreville, so we are legally obligated to provide education. However, the district of residence for this student is Trenton, and they are responsible for paying for it. In this particular case, we're asking you to approve an out-of-district tuition for this student. Numbers 22 through 30, which can be found on pages 6 and 7, we're asking you to approve some building permits, several of which you will note are for a fee in accordance with our facility usage schedule. Number 32, we're asking you to approve several trips with transportation costs. That can be found on pages 7 and 8. Number 33, we're asking you to approve the use of board buses to shuttle passengers between the Sayreville Middle School and the Dwarkadish Temple in Parlin. That will be paid for by the temple, and that's on page 8. Number 34, there are a couple of tuition contracts for students with disabilities attending private out-of-district schools. We have one general education student, Board of Education members, that we're asking you to approve his attendance in the interim alternative education program for 45 days. And that's at the Middlesex Regional Ed Services Commission. We do have unfortunately, some students that are receiving bedside tutoring that we need you to approve, home instruction, and other related services such as paraprofessionals and therapy services. That can be found, again, that's item 34, and all of those can be found on page 9. Number 35, we're asking you to approve a contract with the GMC Environmental Consultants for licensed site remediation professional services for the Truman Elementary School, and that can be found on the addendum.
Is that the tank? Yes.
Any questions on Vision 2030, finance and infrastructure?
Mr. Ball?
Yeah, I'm going to stay on number 8, page 2. And page 2, number 4, check number 8554, I'm going to vote no on. And a question about number 27, with the hours the middle school students are going to be practicing for the play. I'm just concerned with some of these school nights, they're going to be from 3 o'clock to 10:30. I mean, they're going to go straight from school, stay out to 10:30. I don't know how they're going to get all their work done. I just think it's kind of a heavy workload for the students over there. We heard complaints about it in the past. I'm just worried about it happening again.
Well,
hopefully this is just a window they're going to get out earlier, but I just don't know.
Yeah, one of the big changes that we've made from previous years is sometimes in previous years the students actually did rehearsals during school hours. That's something that we discussed, and we basically stopped that. So there is quite a bit for them to rehearse. The kids want to be perfect in their presentations, so that is the reason for the increase in that, because the kids will no longer be rehearsing during the school day.
Dan, what'd you vote no on? What page is it?
It was a check number for the online payment system. I always voted no on.
You always, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Dr.
Mrs.
Labby,
Okay,
can I ask you to explain number 35?
Number
On
35?
the addendum?
I would love to, but I'm going to defer that to Mr. DeAndrea. Late in October, we received a notice from the Department of Environmental Protection that we have apparently removed an oil tank from the Truman School back in 1995. And based on the research and the letter that we received, the proper documentation to close out the project was never filed back in 95. So this is now a requirement to close out the documents and to certify that there's no contamination on the property after the tank removal. So the reason that the fee proposal is not listed, It's a range right now from 89 to 9,900, depending on the amount of samples they may have to take and various other things that they may have to investigate once they get to the property. They gave us a list of required firms that we had to work with. Mr. Pantoliano did all the legwork and the research and dealing with these companies, and he recommended the company that's there, but it's back from 1995.
Yeah, did they say why it took them 20 years to figure out this wasn't done?
When it comes to the things with the state, I don't ask those questions. They just told us
Governor
that,
Christie knew nothing about it.
you know, there were legislative changes that occurred back in 2012, and now you're required to have a licensed professional do the work for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Backo?
One of the questions is a transfer question. On this transfer report, I have a question. The total capital outlay, where you have the columns, the original budget, transferred in, transferred out, the remaining allowable balance too is negative. So does that mean that we over-transferred? What does that negative number mean to me?
The S-1701 report is what Mrs.
Yes,
Backus-
I know,
yeah.
total.
Column 8?
That means where it says negative,
Yeah.
that means we're still allowed to transfer that much out.
We still can transfer 6,000 out,
Yes.
too. So if it's a positive number, then we're not allowed to transfer? Like, what is a,
I'm sorry, I read that. It reads that where maximum transfer amount is $46,091. Year-to-date transfers to is $52,878. So we over-transferred to by $6,787. But then if you look in the remaining balance allowable, it's the sum of the 46 and the 52 give you the 98. It's just the way the report is generated. They give you both columns.
okay, so we still have money left that we can transfer, or no?
No, we
don't.
Well, if you go to remaining allowable balance transfer from column, we can transfer up to $98,000 now, because we put in 52, but the maximum was 46.
Do you know why there's so many transfers in this account? Do you know what's going on?
I would have to look back, but it says capital outlay, and my recollection is we had the bus listed in the wrong category in the budget process, because we purchased the bus this year, and I had to transfer it to the equipment because it was over over the threshold of 2,000 for a fixed asset, if I recall correctly. And if I look at the other report, it may be listed on that. No, it's not, it's only one time. So it may have been items that we purchased that were over $2,000 that had to go into a fixed asset.
Right, and the other question I have, the law firm, at the finance meeting, you had stated that the amount was going to be $16,500. And I
It is
noticed you had a
16
price for Phoenix, but not for the
The
law firm.
resolution reads differently. Their proposal is 16.5, but if we don't go to closing, it may not be 16,500. If other scenarios come up during the financing, there are additional charges. So it's 16,500 if we sell $6.8 million worth of bonds. If we happen to not sell 6.8, the number can fluctuate. The maximum is 16.5 if we sell 6.8 million.
So the maximum is 16.5.
If we do 6.8 million.
Right, so how come we don't put that in here at a, like a not to exceed
Because it
amount?
could, if I put the fixed amount and then it fluctuates, I have to come back. It's based on the fee proposal.
Right, but you're saying it's not going to exceed 16.5.
If we sell $6.8 million worth of bonds. If it exceeds 6.8 million, it could be greater because we're selling more than 6.8.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay.
Moving along to Vision 2030 Student Achievement, numbers 2 through 8, we're asking to approve several co-curricular activities on pages 10 and 11. And number 9, we're asking you to approve 2 co-curricular trips without transportation costs on page 12. Vision 2030 governance. We're asking you to approve a resolution recognizing and honoring our Sayreville War Memorial High School Marching Band and Color Guard. Mr. Sayak did a great job of reading that resolution to you. Number 2, we're asking you to approve our New Jersey CUSAC District Performance Review, as well as Statement of Assurance for the 2015-16 school year. It can be found on page 13. As you know, this is a CUSAC monitoring year for us, which means that we provide our self-assessments for our Statement of Assurance, as well as our District Performance Review. The state will come out, or the county will come out, and they will, in essence, audit us and review our self-assessment and the data that we've collected to justify it, and they will make a final determination of score when they do so. We can expect Dr. Marana, the Executive County Superintendent for Middlesex County, to be with us sometime in January. Soon after that, we're going to ask you to go ahead and approve by motion our final CUSAC results. So these are, in a sense, our preliminary results that we will upload to the NJDOE tomorrow morning. Number 3, we're asking you to approve the October 2015 HIB report, as well as the recommendations for actions, one of which you heard during executive session. You can find that on page 13. And finally, number 4, also on page 14, we're asking you to approve the 2015-16 Nursing Services Plan. Any question on governance? Okay, Vision 2030 personnel. We do unfortunately have some people that will be leaving us that have given a tremendous amount of themselves to the Sayreville Board of Education, and we'd like to honor and recognize them tonight. This evening, the Sayreville Board of Education would like to recognize the retirement of Mrs. Maria Malara. Marie has decided to retire after 38 years of teaching music in the Sayreville Public Schools. A passionate musician and educator, Mrs. Malara embraces each day in her classroom with energy, reminiscent of the teachers at the beginning of their career. Students know when they enter Marie's classroom that regardless of their ability level, they will be challenged and encouraged to optimize their musical talents. Mrs. Malara's contribution to the music department expands far beyond the walls of her classroom, though. She spends countless hours beyond the school day, on the weekends, and during school holidays working with students. As the conductor of the 7th and 8th grade chorus, director of the PTO-sponsored annual middle school spring musical, preparing students for region choir, mentoring new aspiring teachers, and writing district curricula are just a few of the numerous activities led by Mrs. Marie Malara. Marie will be sorely missed by both the Sayreville Middle School and the entire Sayreville School District. We congratulate and we thank Mrs. Marie Malara for all that she's done for the students in Sayreville. We'd also like to extend our congratulations to Mr. Ira Babiat, a math teacher at the Sayreville War Memorial High School. Mr. Babiat has been a math teacher in Sayreville for the past 16 years and has been a valued member of the Sayreville War Memorial High School's faculty. Ira began his teaching career in Sayreville at the middle school and had moved to the high school about 9 years ago. He has taught a number of courses in the math department and insists that his students perform at the highest level possible. Mr. Babiat has had a high standard for students who take his class. He uses the knowledge he gained over the years to isolate areas in his content that are typically difficult for students and break them into smaller, more manageable parts, which allows his students to learn them step by step. Ira consistently contributes at department meetings, focusing on improving performance and enhancing student success. We wish Mr. Babiat well as he moves on in his retirement. And on a personal note, I will in fact miss that incredible smile and that very, very positive and enthusiastic Mr. Babiat. Every time I would enter the Sayreville War Memorial High School, I would get an incredibly warm and enthusiastic hello, Dr. Labby, and that's something that I personally will miss when he's gone. So we salute Mr. Babiat and Mrs. Malara, and we thank them on their retirements. Moving ahead, items 3 through 5, which can be found on page 14, we're asking you to accept the resignations of a cafeteria worker at Truman, as well as a maintenance worker for the district. I'm asking you on number 5, though, we are going to withdraw the resignation of a part-time paraprofessional at the Sam Sell Upper Elementary School. And as you will note, later in the addendum, we're asking you to go ahead and approve the termination of that part-time paraprofessional. Number 6, which can be found on pages 15 and 16, we're asking you to approve several leaves of absence for the 2015-16 school year. Numbers 9 and 21, that can be found on page 16, as well as the addendum, we're asking you to hire 4 certified replacement teachers. Those are teachers filling in for someone that is on a leave of absence. Numbers 11 and 12, which can be found on page 16, we're asking you to approve a lead custodian at the Eisenhower Elementary School, as well as a lunch room playground aide at the Sam Sell Upper Elementary School. Number 13, which can be found on page 16, we're asking you to approve 2 teachers to work in our new literacy academy on an as-needed basis from October to May. Number 14, on page 16 as well, we're asking you to approve the suspension with pay of the woodshop teacher at the Sayreville War Memorial High School. And that is pending further investigation. Number 15, on page 16, we're asking you to approve the transfer of 2 cafeteria workers, one from the Sayreville Middle School to Eisenhower, and the other from the Eisenhower School to the Sayreville Middle School. Number 16, on page 17, we're asking you to appoint the girls bowling coach and the JV girls basketball coach at Sayreville War Memorial High School. Numbers 17, 18, 22, and 23, which can be found on page 17 and the addendum, we're asking you to approve 9 certified and 3 non-certified substitutes. Number 19, we're asking you to approve superintendent's merit bonus goals. That can be found on pages 16, 17, and 18. Numbers 20 and 26, on pages 18 through 20, as well as the addendum, we're asking you to approve professional days. Number 24, on the addendum, we're asking you to approve several volunteer coaches for the winter season at Sayreville War Memorial High School. And number 25, as I aforementioned, we're asking you to approve the termination of the part-time paraprofessional at the Sam Sell Upper Elementary School. And that is on the addendum. Any questions on Vision 2030 personnel?
I have a question.
Mrs. Backo.
The supervisor of language arts, how do you cover for that position?
Dr. Shedick, do you want to explain how we're going to cover for that?
We're going to cover it internally. Mrs. Monahan Rivera has had all her observations scheduled around this planned maternity leave, so she's been doing observations like crazy since the beginning of the school year. She will be reviewing lesson plans and so on from home. She's planning to, so we anticipate that we'll be able to cover that.
And the other question, for number 8, you have a salary for 14-15. Did we pay someone wrong for a whole year, or?
Go ahead. Ms. Reese?
This is Michelle Sullivan. Yes, Karen Sullivan.
Karen Sullivan.
Apparently, Midio, what, it was, last year, she was paid at the wrong salary. She didn't, the wrong salary step. She didn't move on the step. So this year, she's being paid at the correct salary step, but actually, we owe her about $2,000.
So we just found this out a year later?
Actually,
Okay.
yes, yeah. Payroll did a spreadsheet, and we were able to see it and put it in.
Do we need number 26 since he's listed on number 20?
You said number 26?
Yeah,
Professional day?
yeah. He's listed on number 20, so I'm like...
Is it the same one, or is it a
Yeah,
different
same
activity?
day, same price, same title.
Yeah, it's a duplicate.
It's just a duplicate.
So why don't we withdraw number 26?
Withdraw number 26.
Thank you, Mr. Back. Mr. Balco.
It's really important you go to that. They put it in twice.
I will impress that upon Mr. Nasty, who
Anybody else
is
have any
amazing, by the way.
Well, I'm just going to do my vote, is that okay? On Amidio,
Correct.
page 16, I'm going to be voting no on 10 and 11.
Ten and 11?
10 and 11.
Okay, thank you.
Same for me in video.
Anybody else have any discussion for open up to the public? Are you done, sir?
Yes, sir.
This time, I'll open up to the public for any comments or questions on the agenda.
Thought there was going to be a bigger audience here. Right? John Bowry, 1210 Harbor Club Drive. Mike, I'll ask you just a small latitude. One minor topic is not directly on the agenda, but I don't want to come up twice, and you don't want to see me up here twice.
Well, there's a line of people behind you wanting to get up
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Right. Just checking. Nick Pizzulli is on the substitute approval thing, right? Just reminded me to ask, how much, I think it was $5,000 you potentially allocated back in September?
It was capped. What was that figure?
Right, right.
Yes.
How'd we do it? Do we have, did we
well,
spend it all, or?
He has not used all of those hours.
Cool, that's good. That's fine.
But he was on the agenda most recently because he was acting as a substitute. Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I was just trying to, it wasn't really the question, it was
Okay.
the old topic, right? This is off topic too. Employment opportunities button on the website, maybe I'll speak back here. Happened to hit it today, you're looking around for the Board of Ed agenda minutes that were off the site for a while. And we have 21 job openings posted right now with that website. Only 4 of them are current, 17 of them expired, some back in 2014. Just want to bring it to someone's attention, okay?
Video?
Great topic. I don't know the details on it, but this third party SAT company, going to have a meeting on December 7th about my favorite topic, obviously. I'm going to ask you, Mike, Dr. Labby, and maybe it's through guidance, right? This would be a great time to address a problem I'm encountering more times than I want to in the last couple of months in this town of parents being less than informed. I almost used too harsh of a word there, so I caught myself, right? Too many parents are lost with regards to the college application process and the college financial aid process, right? That when I'm out meeting kids to discuss an SAT prep, they need the whole learning curve, okay? So a meeting of a third-party company that night may be backed up, because it's an early start, it's like a 5:30 start or something, backed up at 7:30 with a third-party financial aid company, you know, and they're out there, or your own guidance department to go through this process, right? Starting with the FAFSA and the CSS profile, and then let people know that for residents of Sayreville, with our average income in this town, the cost for Princeton is really the same cost as Rutgers. And Mike, you and I went through this about 6-7 years ago.
I agree.
Phyllis, okay? This town doesn't understand that if your kid can get into Princeton or Rutgers, they cost the same, okay? That sort of stuff the public just doesn't get. That meeting looks like a great time to piggyback that. And I tell you what, if every junior parent and kid isn't at that meeting on SAT prep, the juniors in particular, with the new SAT coming in March, I don't know, we're just not getting the word out. So please, I like the direction, but I think you can combine it with financial stuff too, you know, college admission stuff, and help out. On that same SAT prep, I've suggested a couple times in the last several years to find some way to find a few dollars to help subsidize an SAT prep class. I got a new idea, okay? And it came through my wife's paycheck, okay? She got an extra $39 on her paycheck last week, and I said, why? She says, she gave up her duty or her lunch or a prep or something and filled in and got paid $43. You know, that's what happened, first time ever, right? So I said to myself, if we've got teachers in the building here that have a prep or a lunch that they're willing to give up for $43. Let them prep kids during those 45 minutes for $43. Sounds like real good value. You get the teacher in the building, find an empty classroom, and invite any kid that's on lunch to go hang out with a teacher, pay the teacher $43. I hope you find a teacher to do it. Okay. The last topic I had was going to be a very, very lengthy one, but I've come to the conclusion that you all know I'm anti-merit bonuses, and this is not an anti-Rick Labby comment, right? You know, it's anti-merit bonuses in general, right? But I don't understand it well enough. I have way too many questions. So instead of asking anything about it tonight, I'll defer it to another time and try and get my answers through the back door for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else from the public have any questions or comments on the agenda? I will open up again for the public for any business that may become before this board. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion, entertain a motion by the board to accept and file the superintendent's report.
So moved.
I got two so moves. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Balka?
Yes.
Mrs. Backo?
Yes.
Mrs. Bloom?
Yes, Emilio, I have to abstain on the bill list on check number, let me know when you're ready. Check number 135201. And I also have to abstain on 19, the superintendent's merit bonus. Otherwise, yes, on everything.
Let me get to that. Thank you. Mr. Brzezinski?
Yes.
Mr. Syak?
Yes.
Mrs. DePinto?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
And Mr. McEnroe?
Yes. Okay, finance infrastructure, did you have a meeting
We
recently?
had a short meeting. We had 3 topics. We basically looked at the cost per student calculations that we can use with the pilot committee in conjunction with the borough there. We also looked at the bond council recommendation by Emilio, and they saw them on the agenda tonight. So
Right.
we also discussed using a group to help us assess our sponsorship activities and opportunities. That's coming up in discussion a little later too.
Okay.
So, and on the infrastructure side, the middle school path between the high school and the middle school has been repaved this past break, I guess, right?
I'm
The
sorry?
middle school path's been repaved, and
Yes.
I still noticed roofs and people on the roof, ladders by the roof and people on the roof this past weekend at the high school. So I'm guessing the roof's not quite done yet, but it should be damn close.
Damn close is close.
Yes. Considering it was supposed to be done in August, I'm
When's the
thinking,
final budget have to be? Is it's the same schedule, in March?
yeah, the state didn't change it yet. It's too early.
Change anything? When does it have to be adopted?
The schedule just came out the other day. I have it on my wall.
Okay, just email me, just out of curiosity. All right.
Mr. Balk, as the committee discussed the middle school, the sinkhole issue outside the E-wing, where are we with that?
Amelia just filled me in before about it. I mean, we didn't talk about it in committee yet, so.
Okay.
If I could, there was a question, there was a third option that was not in their proposal. I spoke to Jay Cornell from CME, and he indicated that cost would probably be twice as much as one of the options that we chose. So I just spoke to him this week, I apologize, late last week, and that'll be probably back on for discussion at our next infrastructure and finance meeting.
Okay.
All right. Anything else there?
That's all.
Okay. Student achievement, Mrs. Backo. I believe we had a meeting.
Yes, we had a meeting. The topics we discussed the testing requirements for high school graduation and the changes and where we are at this moment. We had an update on the initiatives for the 15-16 year. The literacy academies at the elementary school, should be up and running by now.
Yes.
And that starts before school. And we're looking into, there was a recommendation to also for regular ed. There's been one meeting for the middle school related arts committee between 12 and 15 teachers met to discuss the changing of some of the art classes. Well, the specials classes, not necessarily art. We went over the CUSAC report, which everyone saw. One topic that we put off till we were asked for some more information. It appears that our kindergarten enrollment, we have a large increase in students that are attending that have not yet turned 5. So there has been some recommendation of maybe changing the date that we have now of October 1st, 30th? 31st. So we're looking into maybe changing the date.
We
La-
have, just to
You have to
cl-
be 5 by a certain date.
no, that's board policy, though. How do we have students who are attending who are not 5? Or are you saying we have students who want to attend who are not 5?
No, well, the cutoff is,
We want to change the cutoff.
If you're
the
4.
cutoff, in other words, there are 5, there's too many, all right, wait.
We're compliant with the policy right
We're
now.
complying with the policy
Okay, 'cause that's
now,
not what I heard.
But,
Okay.
all right, there's a large percentage of students. We had 78 students who turned 5 after September 1st.
Oh, I got
Okay,
you.
so it's like the cutoff, because of where the cutoff is, there's a large percentage of students.
That are right at the,
Right.
gotcha, okay.
So we're compliant with the policy, just might have to
Right.
change the policy, was discussion.
Gotcha, okay.
So we're looking into the dates that other towns do and how it's working.
Okay.
We got some
Oh, well, sure.
feedback, good feedback about how looping was going. There are tag revisions that are on the horizon that are coming. And I think, and there were 2 block committee meetings, one for the middle school and the high school. There was one meeting together, there was about 30 teachers who attended. There was a cross-section of teachers across subjects, and they will be splitting into 2 separate committees. And that's it.
Very good.
Mr. McEnroe, could either Mrs. Batko or Dr. Labby or Dr. Shediak share the feedback on looping specifically? What, how's it going? I heard it was going well.
Defer to Dr. Labby on that.
Yeah. Some of the preliminary reports that we received, the teachers felt that the starting of their classrooms, in terms of the kids understanding their rules, procedures, everything involved in developing the organizational, the culture, went incredibly smooth. The kids basically came into class, they knew exactly what to do. They knew exactly the roles that they would need to perform and so forth. So classroom management-wise, classroom organization-wise, it was seamless in terms of the transition into first grade from those kindergartners. As well as the fact that with regard to literacy, the teachers felt overwhelmingly that they were able to, again, almost as soon as by the end of the first week, had the kids reading in their instructional groups, knowing exactly where they were, taking them to the next level. There were some things also noted too that weren't positive. They felt that there were some kids that moved into the school new, that it was a little bit more difficult for them. Not only were they in a new school, but the other kids knew what to do because they were with that teacher the year before. So that they felt a little bit awkward on the first couple of days because all the other kids seemed to know what to do and they didn't. But those children, because of the fact that the other kids knew exactly what to do, they were able to bring those new children up to speed rather quickly.
So it's been positive. It's been a good initiative.
There is another meeting coming up that I will be attending sometime this month.
Are we sharing those, that positive feedback and the lessons learned with the schools that are not looping? Is that in the works to?
We are in the process of attempting to have a committee. You want to talk about that?
Right, we had asked for, going back, I guess, in early October, we had asked for volunteers to participate in a committee, to review the results and to discuss where we're going with it and moving forward. And it was, we had no volunteers among the teachers to participate on the committee.
No volunteers wanted to participate on
No.
the committee?
No.
So the only feedback that we're drawing is from the teachers in the individual schools.
Right.
We have no one that's looking to participate in a district-wide looping ad hoc committee, for one reason or another.
But we're not going to give up.
So what are your thoughts on how we bridge that gap? Because, I mean, if this works, we're obviously not just going to keep it with the 2 schools. We're going to look to expand it to the remaining 2.
Correct. We're going to incorporate the feedback that we're getting from the 2 schools that are piloting it, and we're going to begin to develop a process for training the teachers that are going to participate next year if we decide it's going to be mandatory. And we're also going to use the feedback to develop the implementation procedures based upon their experience this year.
And that'll be done through what, the PLC days, or
What will be done during the BLC?
in terms of the training and the?
No, we have our new Sayreville University Professional Development Program.
Okay.
One of the parts of that is where we actually get a substitute for our non-tenured teachers in our new teacher institute, and then they spend the day at Slover in our newly developed professional development lab. We're going to do the same thing with the teachers that are going to be participating in looping. We're going to get subs for them and pull them out and train them.
Okay, cool, good.
Okay, very good.
So we're either going to do it in all the schools or none of the schools next year, I take it, correct?
Correct.
I have a feeling which way that's leaning.
I know,
Okay.
but I just want to look for consistency.
Any policy?
The policy committee did not meet, but I did represent the board on the CUSAC committee, and I sat with Dr. Labby and his staff and reviewed the CUSAC results. Overall, and you also saw the reports, basically what I take away from the reports is we have the right processes in place. We're just challenged from a test result perspective in terms of the results that we're getting. Part of that challenge comes from the fact that the test results that we're measured on for CUSAC are the 2013-14 test results, because we're not using the PARC test results. We're actually 1 year behind, and a lot of that is actually measuring performance in the first half of the 2013-14 school year, if not the latter half of the 2012-13 school year. So we're a little bit behind in terms of the measurement piece.
But everybody is.
But everybody is. But that's part of our challenge, because the reforms that we're putting in place and the improvements we're putting in place are not reflected in the data that we're using to be measured by CUSAC.
Okay. Personnel, you had a meeting today?
We did have a meeting today. We talked about the need, the possible need in the future for a art teacher at the with the project before. Our full-day pre-K program is going excellent, so we think that's something that could be very beneficial for the students there to have art.
Mrs. Bacco, can you give us a little kind of summary synopsis on how pilot's going?
All right. The pilot committee met before the last public council meeting. Right now, we're back to, we've come full circle. Our first pilot meeting was a suggestion where the board asked the council to split the pilot revenue 56%. So it appears that the cost per student scenario is, we're not really discussing that anymore. We're back to a percentage. So we're still asking for 56%. We think the committee on the council side, the three people seemed agreeable to it. So we're now, the mayor stated publicly at the meeting he was agreeable to it. So we now really are at the point where we need to have the whole council involved. I don't really see a need for a closed-door committee meeting anymore. I think we've done everything we can with 3 and 3. I think we really need to get the entire council, either they have to come to some sort of consensus amongst themselves. I think at the committee level, we're pretty much done with everything. But just for, we tried to focus on the Club Benet property because that's already a done deal. The pilot agreements have been signed. We're expecting to see those students probably in September. There's about 148 residential units there, so we are anticipating children from those units. Just to put this in a little bit of perspective, and these were numbers that Wayne Karnowski, the CFO, gave us, and he worked with the tax assessor. That property, if it was taxed, it would have yielded $413,000. Of that $413,000, $230,000 would have come to the school district. The estimate of the pilot revenue is only $224,000. If the council agrees to give the school board 56%, which would have been our rate had it been taxed, we will receive $125,000. So you're looking, if the council is agreeable to the 56%, we're still just only going to get like a little bit less than, a little bit more than half of what we would have gotten had it been taxed. So just on this small project, if you look at those numbers, if you try to take that comparison to what the point is going, you're talking at a major revenue loss if we don't get this done. So I think the best thing for us now is to just, work with the entire council and see how it goes. I mean, you were all there, you heard the comments of what some of the council members wanted, I think, so.
Well, we accomplished, the first step is that all the council's agreeable that the board should get pilot money.
Right.
The next question is at what percentage? So with Mrs. Bacco and I'm going to attend the next council meetings all the way through, And every council meeting just asks for an update, because they said they were going to discuss it. We had mentioned that they were going to make a decision by the end of the year, the calendar year, so we're going to keep asking at every meeting, what the status of that is. And we'll see what happens. Kudos to Mrs. Backo for chairing this and bringing it to this point. What I'm asking is that this is an issue now between the Board of Education and the council members. And I just want the administration to cease and desist with any conversations there and let us work it with the council. So if there's any contact from there, then just refer them to us. I like to prefer to do that way so there's no misunderstanding. I think we made our point clear, and then we're just going to pursue that, and I like to operate in that direction, okay? And we'll see what happens. So, okay. Delegate to the New Jersey School Board Association, that would be you, Mr. Sy.
I sent out the resolution that's going to be on the Delegate Assembly agenda on Saturday. I plan on supporting NJSBA's recommendation unless there's any objection.
Remind us what that was again. I remember you saw it. I saw it.
It dealt with charter schools and basically
yes, the amount of money.
The aid portion, and basically not holding charter schools harmless while the rest of us are being cut from an aid perspective.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Who generated that one?
I can't remember the municipality.
Anybody have any problem with Mr. Syek championing that?
It was Highland Park.
Highland Park, okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'll be supporting that. Also, NSBA is developing a new certification program for board members based upon their Key Works of School Boards initiative. So that program will be launching July 1, if anyone is interested. There's a fee of $275 per board member. There's an online curriculum, and signups begin in April. And that's it.
Okay. There's an item under here of discussion. Who owns it? Advertising valuation.
Rick and I had the opportunity to meet with a gentleman that basically came in to speak to us about doing advertising as a third party. He was looking at a fee of close to $30,000 and no guarantees of revenue generation. It then began a conversation of what other services he can provide. And I know for myself, and it was an education as to the things that we don't know about advertising. And what he would provide for us for a fee of $2,500 is to do an advertising valuation. Try to tell us what demographic markets we can go to, what people we should be looking at, what type of dollar value certain signs have, the size of the signs, the placement of the signs, and all the things that you would normally do if you were going to do a marketing campaign. So we brought it to the committee, and they recommended that we bring it to the full board because it would be a cost of $2,500 to get an assessment of what would be the best strategies to move forward if we're looking at an advertising campaign. He would put together something for us so that we're out there marketing it to the best of our abilities and not just doing it based on a superintendent and a business administrator who have no knowledge in marketing strategies.
Now, is this advertising, what, on our website, on our buses? What?
Everything.
All over.
Anything?
He's going to do a full-blown demographic study for us as to where's the best place, what the dollar values are, what would be the optimal.
What do our
cost.
neighboring districts do? I've yet to see a school bus around here with any advertising on it, or
And-
anybody's websites that I've been to.
And that's why we think this person would be, that's why we think this individual would be instrumental, because he could guide us to do it in an appropriate manner and not just try to do it as a business administrator and a superintendent of a school.
Does he have any references or success anywhere else?
He listed Rutgers. I have it with me.
And
Rick,
he
if you recall.
was just awarded a contract with Maryland University.
While Mr. DeAndrea is looking for that, I'm going to offer a creative suggestion. I don't know if this is doable, but, and you just used the words, we're pioneers. Is there an opportunity for Sayreville to talk to the other superintendents in the county, get a couple of school boards that may be interested in this same service, group it together, and charge an admin fee so that most, if not all, of our portion of this gets paid for by virtue of the work that we're doing to coordinate the service throughout the county? Does that make sense?
No. No, I don't mean to say that, no, but.
No, that's fine.
I just don't know if that would be plausible. You know, first and foremost, I would be, I don't know if other districts would be willing to share their advertising revenue with us or
No,
share
no, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is you call up the superintendent of Old Bridge, East Brunswick, Metuchen, saying, look, we're bringing in this firm to look at what our revenue potential is. Would you be interested in them doing the same thing for you? We'll coordinate the whole proposal process, get you a quote, and then when he puts this report together, I'm assuming there's certain similarities when you look at an East Brunswick and Old Bridge and Matawan in terms of recommendations that are going to apply to all of us, and certain ones that may be specific to each individual district.
and then ask for a discounted rate if more people participate?
Exactly, and possibly like Middlesex Ed Services does, put on some type of admin fee that we also charge to the other districts for coordinating this whole thing, since we're the ones taking the lead and doing all the work.
I mean, we can go ahead and investigate that. I would also I would be curious, if we drove up the cost, would we have to worry about any type of bid or
Yeah,
quote threshold?
I'm glad you mentioned it, because then you're into a whole, if it goes over a certain dollar amount, then it may be a requirement to put it out to bid and all that.
Well, I'm not suggesting you call 13 school districts, I'm just suggesting maybe we get a couple on board so it's not 2,500, but it's not 250,000 either.
And I guess, Kevin, the other part of my concern would be is, we may start bringing in other school districts, and we may start losing some of our advertising capabilities, because now we're sharing resources that we might be able to go into other areas with. So you may want to be careful in that regard. Old Bridge is our neighbor, South River are our neighbors. They join on. There may be some advertising opportunities that we can grab from neighboring towns that we're now giving to them.
Plus, I mean, it's not, did you share the amount? The proposed amount?
No, I'm referring to if we bring
No,
them
the
in.
proposed amount of the evaluation study.
It's $2,500.
Yeah, we're talking $2,500. It's not an exorbitant amount of money, but again, the purpose is to see what is the maximum potential we, as a school district, could generate in terms of revenue in Sayreville. And when you sit down and talk to the gentleman, he's going to turn over every stone possible. For instance, he'll look at the square mileage of Sayreville. He'll go ahead and look at the population density. Basically, what he'll try to do is calculate the number of eyeballs that will see signs on our fields, advertisements in our publications, advertisements on our websites, advertisements on our buses. Then he'll actually go out and see what the competitive districts are charging, or organizations are charging. For instance, when it comes to advertising on buses, he'll go out and look at the congestion, the number of people in the morning that are going to see our buses. Factor in what we could actually charge per advertisement. But then go ahead and look at and analyze with the amount that New Jersey Transit charges for advertising on their buses, so that we can come up with a competitive rate and utilize that to get more organizations interested in advertising with us. He'll use that same process with our advertising on our website. And by the way, our website was selected and designed to host advertisements. We just haven't done that yet. How we can advertise on all of our fields, fences, and how we can advertise on all the publications that we put out. And, you know, that's the process that he will undergo, and he'll take all that, itemize it, calculate it, and come up with the maximum potential amount of money that he believes we could generate in revenue. And that way, as a board, we can decide, is it worth it for us to do these things, to spend some money to earn that revenue? If there is an amount of revenue that we can generate for ourselves that will help offset our taxpayers, what they're forced to pay, to help us fight with that 2% tax levy cap increase that we're bound by. So for $2,500, we'll see what in fact we're capable of doing with advertising and whether it's worth our venture.
I just have a question. Kevin, you said something about to share the cost because we would do all the work. Do we have to do work? They're doing all the work, correct?
Right.
All right, so it's not going to require work on your part.
And I'm
They're
not-
going to be doing all the legwork.
And I'm
correct?
not saying that other
For-
districts may not be interested in generating revenue, but I don't think a lot of districts in Middlesex County are in the same situation we're in terms of the need for funds that we are in, or at least the approach that Mr. DeAndrea and I are taking. You know,
Trying to become educated in a process that we're not knowledgeable in.
I mean, we can do our best ourselves to try to sell bus advertisements or website advertisements, but I'm not an advertiser. I'm barely a superintendent. So we need the help of a middle person.
Does he do that for us?
He would charge us,
Close to $30,000.
he would
for
charge
the
us a
year.
retainer and then take a percentage of what we earn in
So
advertising.
he would go out and get the advertisers?
Yep.
Yeah.
He would do everything for us.
But the thing is, he's guaranteed his money.
So what if we don't
without any
generate
outcome.
30,000?
Exactly. So that's what we need a valuation study to determine. So the last thing we want to do is go into a business venture with someone and not know what's the maximum potential that we can get out of it.
Right, but
Um,
just because we do this 2,500 doesn't mean we're going to go with
No,
him. I
no,
just
no,
make that
it's just,
clear.
and we don't
It's
even have to
just
use that
still about-
company.
Right.
Right.
It's just basically an opportunity for us to learn what is the potential
Yeah,
that
but
we
he can
can
come out and say your
generate.
potential is 75 grand, and we pay him 30 grand, but we don't get 75 grand. Is he guaranteeing that? Is there a...
And I can tell you, that is some of the shortfalls that other districts have fallen into. They brought on a third-party marketer with a retainer, and then after 1 year, the retainer has been paid, and the net profit wasn't there because the advertising revenues didn't come in.
So what's the safeguard? It's a gamble. So
Yeah.
Right. At least this way, we're investing $2,500 to at least find out, is this a worthwhile venture to go into?
But
And it
how-
may be, Mike, why other districts haven't done it. is
Yeah, because
they-
when you talk about New Jersey transit buses, they're on the road 24 hours a day in thousands. You know, we have 20 that are on the road for
Exactly.
a half hour.
However,
How do you know
but
his-
we do have a number of buses. Well, first of all, we do have buses that from 6:30 till about 9:45 are on the road, and then again from about 1:45
to 4.
till about, no, to almost 5 o'clock with the
But
late
if you
bus.
if you take late buses.
Late bus, and then you have your
buses.
athletic buses,
Yeah, you
then
get-
you have your field trips. So, yeah, I think in terms of the quantity of buses, you know, out there at once, you're correct. But we do have some buses that are out there quite a bit of time, and that's a great thing. He'll be able to calculate all that for us. It may not be a venture that's worth it for us. But the example you said, if we're able to generate $80,000 of gross revenue, even if we give $40,000 back to them, we're still making $40,000 of revenue.
No, I agree.
But what's to say that he doesn't come in for the 2,500, do the valuation at 80,000? Oh, great, we think it's 80,000, and we go with the retainer with him, and it's not. How do you know that his valuation is correct?
Well, no, it's not correct at that point.
And that, and.
At what point?
And
After
Beth,
we
and
pay the
that's,
retainer?
and that's
Yes, that's the risk.
we don't know that going in, we don't know that afterwards, but at least we have an idea of where the potential revenue stream could be coming from. And afterwards, if we agree to a third-party firm to handle all this, it's got to have to be done through an RFP, a request for proposal. Depending on the dollar value, it may be a sealed bid. So we don't know those type of things at this point in time. And even if he overvalues, he's not guaranteed to work.
Right.
Because I have to go out and solicit quotes if it's under the.
So it's not
under
in his best
40,000.
interest to go ahead and inflate anything, because all we're asking him to do is the study. We're not asking him to do the service too. So if he overinflates that, it doesn't mean that he's going to get that service if we choose to do it. There's a quoting process that we have to follow.
And there's no guarantee that if his report says we're gonna get 80,000, there's no guarantee until you actually start your advertising. So it's his best guesstimate as to where we're gonna be based on his knowledge of marketing research, which we don't have.
So what are you asking us for?
We were asked to bring it to the board for a discussion. If the board is okay with it, I will process a requisition and get the study done.
And-
Will the
and put
study
it on for
list
board
by,
approval.
No, it doesn't require board approval.
Okay.
Will the study list say, for example, website with a dollar amount, buses with a dollar, like
Yeah.
each individual
Yeah.
item will have a separate dollar amount.
And I thought I put this on the portal for the board to, and if you like.
It was there.
Yeah,
he-
sure.
His quick process would be review of township demographics, I'm not going to go through every review of all advertising inventory and potential inventory available, review of athletic fields and gyms for signage and other potential advertising, review of social media and how the district may incorporate sponsors without being intrusive, because we spoke about that we may not want it in certain areas. Provide a sales presentation with inventory, graphics, and pricing to be used to solicit advertisers and sponsors. They will visit the district at least twice during the process, once for fact-finding and to visit all facilities, and another for a final presentation. They expect it to take 60 days.
What was the Finance Committee's recommendation on this? Were you in support of it?
We were in support
Yes.
of the study, yes.
The
Not,
study.
not going any further than the study.
Not-
If you have
nothing
any
further
questions,
than
what I'm
this.
gonna do is, before we make a decision, I'm open up for the public since we had some discussion about it. And then we'll get back and make a decision. This time I can open for the public for any business that may come before the board. Mr. Bovee?
Yeah, thanks. I think you might have just got to the point I was going to make, right? Give this guy the $2,500. He's going to lead you in a direction that you'll be able to do it from there yourself.
Right.
Okay? You may not be confident in your advertisers now. Yeah, I won't argue, you may not be a superintendent either. All right?
Thank you.
No problem, off the record, right? But he's going to do plenty for you. He's going to point you in all the right directions. This isn't rocket science, okay? You know, I'm not saying cut the guy out, but if you have any concerns whatsoever that with his assistance you might not reach goals and you don't want to put 30 grand in his pocket, then just wing it yourself,
Yeah.
okay? And be that pioneer, okay?
I think the board's leaning that way.
John, can I ask you a question real fast? It's just totally hypothetical. Just to get an idea, you're an SAT tutor, a good one at that. Is that something that you would consider advertising on a website, on a school website? Hypothetically, I'm not talking numbers yet, but if you could
I'm not sure the
reach
dollars,
all our students.
I'm not sure the dollars that a tutor generates could support significant cost to advertise, right? Word of mouth is just better than that.
Okay.
But it would have to, yeah, if the numbers work, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
sure.
right, just hypothetically.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jack McInerney. I own the Black Belt Academy across the street in the ShopRite Mall. I want to commend all of you for all the things you're doing here. I think it's all great. But I know advertising. I spend about $2,000 a month for a billboard on Route 9. The new electronic ones cost about $6,000 a month. For me to advertise one day in the local newspaper with this size ad is $350 for one day. I do a lot of advertising, flyers, et cetera, et cetera. I am very interested in advertising on every bus in Sayreville. So, and I'd have to say that the revenue that could possibly be gained here, as a businessman advising you, it has to be at least $100,000 to $200,000. Has to be. And this investment on your part is a mere pittance. So I highly recommend you proceed with that.
Thank you. Dr. Labby, I just got one. We don't need this guy to give us any advice. I just got one.
He just did the whole asset valuation.
I appreciate that. I mean, I think that would be the type of advertisement that a school district would be interested in.
Absolutely.
Those types
Yeah.
of themes, you know.
And it's innovative. I don't see any other school district in this area doing it.
Yeah, I don't either.
And me as an advertiser, I would jump on this like, you know why.
Great.
All right?
Excellent.
Thank you. So there's an agenda later on. If you have any questions on it, that's why I'm here, to see if you have any questions.
Very good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public would like to speak? Mrs. Kilcummins.
Mrs. Kilcummins, I knew she was here for a reason.
What can we advertise for you?
Oh. I wouldn't go there.
No.
Barbara Kilcummins, 22 Schmidt Street, the town activist. First of all, kudos to the band. I think it's something positive that Sayreville has needed badly. And congratulations to them and to Dr. Caruso. After a year of negativeness, we finally have something positive, and I think the town probably really wants to share in that too. I was glad to see them at the council meeting. Speaking of the council meeting, the pilot, I think that's one big mistake that Sarah and the council did do. I understand giving abatements to industry, whatever, bringing ratables, which we definitely need to this community. But to do it to a residential is one big mistake. And it's amazing that Assemblyman Wisniewski represented the developer to allow this to happen. At the council meeting, I asked what we lost in ratables from Sandy. Now, this is just 3 areas: Old Bridge, Weber Avenue, MacArthur. We lost $18 million in revenue, and that's an awful lot. Now, with the pilot giving this abatement to a residential area, it really cost the schools and the community is going to take a loss. So I give you credit for going to the council and pleading with them. If it was me, I'd be demanding that they do give you the 56%. So continue on, and I think you will succeed. The other thing is, coming here, I noticed the sign. You know that's near and dear to me, that high school sign. I'm looking at it. Today's November 17th, and they're advertising that the 6th and 7th, the schools were closed. It looks like our cable vision, that nobody's correcting it and upgrading it or keeping it up. And also, if it could just stay on just a couple seconds more, because it seems too fast. But I am appreciative of all the information it is providing. It gave the announcement that the band did win the award, you know, national award and all. And that's vital to the residents. I've heard comments that they appreciate that too, so thanks again.
Thank you, Mrs. Kilcombs. Yes, Mr. Bovee.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I thought we were just talking about that
No, it's open for anything.
$2,500. What?
It's open for anything.
Yeah, I'm late to the show on this pilot stuff, okay? I'm trying to catch up. Phyllis tells me she's going to invite me, and then she doesn't invite me, but whatever. Right?
I tried to get it public, the council
Relax,
said
relax,
no.
relax. In layman's terms, because I had Joe Ambrosia, the lawyer for
Right.
Democratic somebody or other. What is he? Yeah, that
Sarah.
thing. Sarah, right?
Sarah.
Yeah. He's a mutual friend, played golf with him last week. We sat down and talked. So I brought this topic up because I just don't understand it. I need to understand this pilot thing a little bit, right? And he sees it a different way than you guys do, right? I guess, right? But is it as simple as a builder, instead of being taxed? See, you quoted numbers, and I guess the question is, are they annual numbers or are they one-time numbers that you quoted?
Annual.
Annual
numbers.
So we'll be annually short in the neighborhood of $200,000 in your scenario?
Yes.
Okay?
Correct.
Right? Because they're making a one-time, see, this payment in lieu of taxes, instead of taxes being collected every year, there's going to be a one-time payment? Is that what this means?
No, it's going to
No.
be collected every year.
Yeah, but they have to figure out what that number's going to be. If something's traditionally taxed, like your house, traditionally taxed, the board gets 56% of that tax. When they do a pilot program.
Oh, and so their payment is going to be less than they would have been taxed?
Yeah, absolutely. Significantly
Absolutely.
less.
Right, okay. See, I knew it wouldn't take us long to get me up to speed. We're good. Okay, all right.
It's math, John.
Pardon me?
It's math.
Right, so the payment that they're offering these builders is significantly less than they would have been taxed almost.
Taxed traditionally, right.
Right.
They were rateable.
Through assessed value.
Right.
Through the assessment
Gotcha.
process.
And that's $200,000 a year,
Yes.
potentially.
On this one particular property.
I
those
got you.
numbers are.
I got you. All right. I don't have the answers, I just want.
Yeah, that's,
And I spoke to a developer, and he already told me he's going to ask for this pilot.
right. There are pilot programs already in Sayreville, like the, that power energy generation plant on,
Your Neptune, your Red Oak.
Red Oak. That
Red
was a
Oak.
pilot program, but that doesn't impact the school district as a residential, like that's, and that is much, right. Sure, yes,
But it's industry.
yes.
They don't have to educate.
Right, I agree. I'm paying full value taxes. Okay,
The one other comment I just want to make. Are we,
Good.
good.
One of the audience members informed me of my earlier comment. This Saturday at the library, it's a financial workshop for high school kids, 2 o'clock in the afternoon by a third-party company I can't make it in Law's 60th anniversary, right? But maybe if anybody else can, there might be some good information there.
Yes, Ms. Pecco.
Oh, I just want to make a comment for the advertising. Before, if the board decides to go that way, I know since I've been here a long time, we shouldn't go forward with it if the board isn't willing to advertise. I remember the school buses came up and the board voted it down. I remember we brought up the scoreboard and the board voted it down. So before we spend the money, I think the initial question is, after they come back with a proposal, are you willing to advertise on the school bus? Are you willing to advertise on the website? If
Anybody
the board is
unwilling to
not
do so?
willing, then I don't think we should go forward.
Anybody unwilling to do so?
The only thing I'll say is, I mean, I am concerned about the over-commercialization of our district, but I think we still have to go forward with the proposal and look at the options, because it's a valid revenue stream.
A while back, I texted a picture to a bunch of you on what an
Yes.
advertising on a school bus looks like, and it's...
Yes, I showed it at the finance
Yes.
meeting,
Right.
actually.
So, okay, so the other question is everybody agreeable to give the BA direction to hire this individual to do this assessment? Anybody, John?
I'm all for it.
Buddy?
I'm good with it.
Phyllis? Beth? Kevin?
Yes.
Dan? Philip?
Lucy.
Lucy. Jill's not here. And myself. We're agreeable, so go ahead and press on with that.
Thank you.
And certainly, if he wants to come to the board and give us a presentation eventually, I think we'd be interested in that. We have some questions. So, okay. Anything else? I'll take the motion to adjourn.
So move.